then we'll go live.
Who's playing right now?
Italy is.
Italy will.
Oh, true.
Okay, we're live. Welcome everyone to another episode of our Footy Fantasy Pod. This is going to be the Euro update show. Of course, we're doing it alongside. We're doing it alongside the Italian national team playing Wales at the same time, and we've got people back to the show. Let me start with Dio. Dio, thanks for joining us, as always. Dio, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, thanks for joining. Okay. Also, we have Josh, J Socials, Crossline Talks. Following. Thanks for joining us, Josh.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Idris, thanks for joining the show.
As usual, it's a pleasure.
And yeah, of course, okay, always. And of course, we have Itata from Azuri. It's fine. Itata is doing daddy duties too. And supporting the national team. Okay.
Jorginho is doing bits right now.
You said what?
I said Jorginho is having a good tournament. So
he is. And you know, we have
happy.
Yeah. We have a very big Jorginho fan in quotes on here, and I've been telling him for so long how Jorginho is not shit, but you know, we'll pack that for later. We're not dragging people in this episode. This episode is all about this episode is just all about vibes, good vibes, and analysis. Let me sip my tea while I say that.
Okay.
Okay, let's dive into it. The Euros, where I think the best place to start from is Christian Eriksen. I think we should start from there.
Yeah.
What were you? How did you guys feel? Let me first go to Josh. If you watched that game, we were in Denmark, and what happened to Christian Eriksen? Let's go there.
So I'll be honest. Like I had the game in the background. I think because I was doing some work, and no one like you're just kind of doing stuff, and the next thing I look up, and Eriksen is on the ground. So I didn't see the actual like him actually falling. It was like a split second whereby there's a throw in, and I'm doing something. I look up, he's on the ground. I see Schmeichel's running all the way from his post. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's going on right now?
Oh,
I think
Josh Freeze.
I think Josh Freeze.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he froze.
He froze. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was just me.
No. Yeah.
No.
Josh, can you go in and out? Can you go in and out, Josh?
Yeah.
Jump in and jump out.
I don't think you will hear if he's frozen on the other end. There you go.
Or can you delete him?
Okay. Yeah,
So
I'll kick him out. Kick him in. Yeah.
Daya, you can take that question. And what do you think?
Regarding Christian Eriksen, I did not. To be honest, I wasn't watching, but I was driving. Okay, okay. Josh is typing now. So I didn't watch the game. I was doing some errands. I was on the road. But I was monitoring on WhatsApp, and I just saw someone say, "Oh, Christian Eriksen." Um, I pray for him. What is going on? So I just had flashback to Mark Vivian Foe and other guys that stuffs like that happened to. Is Itata on the? Itata is still there, or did he leave?
No, I think he went
Yeah, I
out
think
too
he,
as
he,
well.
he dropped off.
Oh, okay. And Nigerian soccer scene. Okay, Itata is back.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
So
we were talking about Christian Eriksen, and when it went down, I just had flashbacks to Mark Vivian Foe. And if you follow Nigerian soccer scene, you know that there are lots of guys that things like that have happened to in Nigeria, and they just went that way. And
Sam Okwaraji.
Amokaraji, and there are many guys. Even I think one. I don't know how deep you are in Nigerian league. Like I think guys like Amer Hangwe that used to play for BCC. BCC 1989. Like guys like that. So they just collapsed on the field, and that was the last we heard of them. So if you look at Christian Eriksen, thank God for technology, thank God for responsiveness and people that knew what to do. In any other scenario, this happened on the park, it would have gone. This happened anywhere less than that level of technology or that level of football, it would have gone. So, and it was actually close to going. So, we have to I don't know if we can say this was due to the number of games they were playing, but first of all, I just want to say I'm happy to have him back in any capacity. Whether he can't play football anymore, that's secondary. Whether he can't, at least we have him alive. That's a major positive. Let's take that for what it is, and we can now do the postmortem or whatever. I'm hearing that he will have to wear a pacemaker for the rest of his life. I'm saying that okay, the Serie might give him permission to wear a pacemaker. I'm like, okay. I personally, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I don't think football is that important. Let's just let this man be. That's just my opinion, and just enjoy whatever he has made of his career, and just enjoy it. He doesn't have to be under pressure to play in that kind of condition. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Maybe I might be totally wrong. There might be nothing wrong with him, but I was just scared for a moment. That's all I can say.
Okay. Before we move to the next person, welcome Jola. Jola, thanks for joining us on the stream.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Kwame. Okay, I have your section ready for you. Sound bits.
We need to have sound effects for certain folks. Sound like Oga Kwame now when he comes in, we just like hit that that Agbiru sound. Yay! Like sound effects.
For me, just hit the ollie out. That's all.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, they put the Agbiru sound. Yay! That kind of stuff.
Oh boy.
Wait.
Oh, sorry, my opinions. For me,
for
me, it's the same. It's the same thing that Dio had said. To be very honest, it's it's so odd and weird because for me, even took them like a couple of seconds to even too long for them to have they were on it. Don't get me wrong, but it was just the way he stumbled and fell. That wasn't normal. Nobody was on him. So it's but I guess people are always worried about people that fib, fall and stuff, right? And thank God for technology too. But there were some things that actually jumped out to me, and I'll touch real quick the part that you said about football is not all that beyond. I agree with you, but thanks to technology, right, you can still be able to play. I mean, let's talk about Kanwankwo, and when we found out that he had a hole in his heart, my heart sank. I was very young, just that thought process of my idol, 1996. Everybody wanted to be Kanu. You know what I mean? Even if you were as short as I was, it was Kanu. Kanu gave us everything from. I think we were also fans of Kanu before Atlanta 96. If you remember him in Japan, Wilson Oruma, Kanu, and all coming. He's the golden child of Nigerian football. And then you hear he has a hole in his heart. It was too much for many of us that are fans, that was just like, but why, you know? Then to see the career he now had after the transplant and what he did in terms of charity is just like, yeah, I think Christian Eriksen can play. Some of us, not to divulge too much, have murmurs in our hearts, and many of us played college football, and the doctors told us it was okay, because you hear things like that and you panic as a young person. You're like, am I ever going to be able to be good at this or that? Am I ever going to enjoy any sport if you are an adrenaline junkie? And sometimes because of that kind of fear or impediment, you actually go extra crazy. In my own case, I love snowboarding. I love sports that literally make my heart like fucking pump more. I haven't had any issue, but it's something I've always paid attention to. So I don't think he won't be able to play. For him not to play at all at the level he is at, they just have to manage him, because, and this is the crazy thing about what happened to Christian Eriksen. It could happen to any healthy person that has no heart history. That's the crazy thing. You know, it could be, as you said, overworked, heat stroke, rush, high blood pressure in that moment, you know, a clog or something, anybody. So I hope to see him back, to be very honest. I really do. And the last thing that jumped out to me that really, really made me very proud was when his coach shielded him from the gaze of the world. I don't want to be too pro-black or something, but when something happens in our community as Africans and Black people, we are so quick to find every, and forgive me for saying this, and I stand corrected, and you guys correct me. I would take my lump of loss if what I say is wrong. I just feel sometimes we're so quick to be so alarmists as a people, throw caution to wind, and not protect the interest or the image, our image of how we look vulnerable at that moment. And I find out that there are lesser images of poor people dying compared to amount of Black people just portrayed over the internet. And the fact and the sense of quick thinking that they will protect the image of their captain and his wife and kid because of the modern era where everybody just picks up a cell phone and just portrays. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like, people in their most vulnerable state. I hope, thinking about Mark Vivian Foe, the picture surrounding, and I can't imagine being his child having to relive that constantly, seeing someone put their hand into the mouth of, you know, understand what I'm trying to say, right? Of my father or my husband, or wife, or something, like, you know, in his wife's case, you know, and no sense of privacy in that moment, or most vulnerable moment. So that thing really stuck with me for a very long time, because how Christian Eriksen was treated versus how probably even in Nigeria, or the way we even treat Black images when things really, really go south for us in public, really stuck deeply to me. I know it's not really football, but it really, 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 really stuck with me with the way we put our pain and suffering out there. I mean, look at COVID images, Ebola images of Africans, and look at COVID images of Italians. Two different projections to the world when they were dying. It's just something to think about out there. But sorry for the long rant.
Oh, no, that's a good point. Any other person want to talk about that, or we move on to, I think we've done good coverage about.
Sorry. I was just gonna, because I think I was talking and I cut off, I think.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I think everyone has probably touched on everything that I probably would have said anyways. All great points. I think for me, it was really shocking. And obviously, I think it was Vivian Defoe for Cameroon, or Vivian Foe for Cameroon. I remember that when that same thing happened and he just collapsed. And obviously, there's been videos on YouTube of soccer players who just, are playing 1 minute and then they just fall and that's it. So it was kind of, and especially like Eriksen, because we're all connected to him from the EPL. We've seen him play week in, week out. So it kind of hit home more, not saying that his life is more important than another player's life that we might not know. So all those moments were just, like I was in tears, like, not like bawling tears, but it was very emotional, right? To see that. I know people were really, actually, I want to commend the captain. Like, wow, that is, like, I'm thinking to myself, I need to go learn. I know I've taken first aid classes here and there, but I just don't refresh it, right? So I'm thinking to myself, if I was in that position, what would I have done? And to see a captain just take control, and then you see Schmeichel's, he's hugging, he's consoling Ericsson's family. And it just kind of really takes you away from football for a moment and realize how precious life is, right? I know it's cliche to say it, but the whole thing with the media, for me personally, I don't think they should have. Like, I liked what the players did by covering them, and big ups to the Finnish fans for giving their national flag to the Danish team to help protect. Because at that point, it doesn't matter about nationality; it's life is life, right? But
Yep.
for me, I'm okay that they kept us, informed about what was going on. Yes, I don't agree that they should have showed Ericsson's body or Ericsson being like given CPR. But I think, because for me, I'm the kind of person, I want to know what's going on as well. As much as we say, respect the family's privacy and things like that. But for me, I want to see what's going on too, to make sure that, because I want to know that he's okay too. And I feel like when they, take it away from the entire stadium, it's really concerning. I think it puts more panic than needs to be. So I know it's one of those, everyone has had their say on if it was the right thing to have just basically cut off the entire broadcast or kept the broadcast on. But for me personally, it was okay they didn't show Ericsson, but it was nice that they showed the fans. They just kind of kept talking and showing, people, because it kind of made me feel like I was part of that group, right? And I wasn't just by myself in my room, just like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Trying to refresh Google every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So for me,
Yeah.
but overall, I'm happy that he's alive. I'm happy that he's doing well now. And he's 29 years old. He just won the Italian league. So at least he's won something in his career. But it's going to be up to him to decide if he still wants to play. Even though I know in Italy, he wasn't really playing as much. So is it something that he could manage with the medical technology that is around today? That's left to be said. But I know it's easy for us to say he's 29, he's made enough money, just retire. But I think it's something that he has to decide on his own.
Yeah, I think on the Ericsson issue, for me, there are two things. There are two things that I just want to mention. One, yeah, I agree with everyone that, look, life is more important. In moments like that, you kind of realize that, look, you realize the fragility and the fragility of life. You can go from a sportsman at the very peak of your physical state, and in 2 seconds you're a patient in a hospital bed, right? So yes, when that it makes us realize that. Secondly, I think it's time for us to start talking about whether players should be mandated to learn CPR, because I think it's very important that one of the Danish players started to give him CPR before the medical staff came onto the pitch. I don't know how many seconds that shaved off the time he had to survive. But I think from reports we heard that he was actually gone. He was actually dead for like 30 seconds before they brought him back to life. On the issue of whether he can play a game, of course, like Josh said, he can. That's his decision to make. But we have players. At least one example, Daley Blind. Daley Blind has that device installed in his heart, or at least maybe under his heart, to help your heart get just restart itself without having to wait for medical experts to come and help you restart your heart. That device can help you restart your heart in case anything happens. And Daley Blind plays with that device. So, of course, everybody's different, but I think there's still hope for him to play. He has made all the money he probably needs in life, but it's still I think for him, it's probably not about money. He just wants to do what he loves. But there's still hope that he will play football sometime in the future.
Okay. All good points. I think we've touched on the Ericsson thing enough. Wish him well. I'm glad he's safe. Let's kind of now pivot a little bit into what the game of the tournament, and I'll go over to our Zurich correspondents live from our Zurich correspondent. Live from where? From, should I call it from Milan, or where are you live from?
Or to Rome.
Oh,
Do you
nice.
support
Life
any
on Twitter.
Italian club? Do you support any Italian club?
Well, yeah, I know everyone is gonna be like, oh yeah, Juventus, because I
Okay,
started
so
support, because of the affiliation of Juventus to the national team. They usually have like 5, 6, 7, 8 players at a
So,
time,
sorry, sir. Nadia trophy shop pass for you, but carry on.
no worry, Idris, you know what? You know the nature of the pendulum. It swings this way and then it swings back. It's on your side now. Don't worry.
Yeah. Let him keep talking.
I'll get you.
Okay.
5 days
So
more.
what has been your game of the tournament so far, Itata? Let's.
Wow, there have been so many great games, but one that stands out for me. It's tough. I would say Belgium's second game against, I think they played Denmark. Denmark. Denmark stands out for me. Just it had everything in it, the human element, of course, the tribute to Ericsson, and Denmark coming with high energy, the passion, the desire, and Belgium just gradually coming back into the game, showing class and quality, and players playing to the best of their ability. I think the Belgium Denmark game stands out just because it had so much more than football involved with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I like the way Lukaku just led the line, scored the goal, dedicated it to Chris, to his
Yeah,
friend, and made it about him. Especially considering what happened the game before against Russia,
yeah,
he was getting racially abused, and he didn't let it get to him. He just like did his thing, scored the goals, and still made it. And the whole players made it about something bigger than football. Who
yeah.
else wants to go for it? Who else has game of tournament? Dio,
Me,
maybe. What was your game
Portugal,
of tournament?
Germany.
Is it different?
Portugal,
Portugal, Germany. Tell
Portugal,
us why.
Germany.
As if you
What?
don't already know why, but tell us why.
Of course, now one Germany won. Two, nobody gave Germany much of it. I didn't even give them much chances.
I
Idris is
did.
making some signs.
I did. You
Yeah,
remember I
yeah.
was the one that was saying,
It is,
yeah,
yeah.
I did.
Yeah, it is it. I remember that.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, and this will be the 5th time in a row Germany is beating Portugal at a major tournament, starting from 2006. 2000.
Wow.
Okay. Cristiano Ronaldo always gets it from Germany, steady. 3-0 in 2006, 3-2 in 2008, 4-0 in 2014, 2012 they got it also. So it's steady 5 times in a row. So
Wow. Okay. I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay.
yeah, Portugal.
This is why we have you.
I'm almost all the time Portugal always come in as favorite because they have better, more skillful players, and Germany will always give it to them. So that's so I thought this was the time Portugal will eventually change things, and maybe Ronaldo even scored for the first time against Germany. So I was like, okay, maybe this he was on his way to doing it, but Havertz, boys, Rudiger, your boy Idris.
This is another moment of the Aguero noise. I just yeah.
Yeah, like they did it. So
Okay. Before we go to the next person, if you're watching this YouTube, please smash that like button, share, subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, leave us comments, share. Also, click the link; it take you to the YouTube link. Any platform, share, like, subscribe, follow us. Follow Touchline Talks, J Social also. Let's go to Stephen A. Oh, I mean Jola. Oga Kwame. AKA our Stephen A. Smith.
Actually, my game of the tournament so far is that the Netherlands' first game, because they were about to bottle it, and we saw. I think that game is a great example of how good players and players that have high IQ can save a useless manager. If you know me, you know that I hate bad coaching. I don't like bad coaches. Frank de Boer, he is not a good coach, but his players saved them. And I think they're going to save him in this tournament. If they get anywhere, it will be because of the players. So, yeah, that's my game of the tournament. It was back and forth. They lost a 2-goal lead, and then at the last minute, they managed to grind it out. So yeah.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I wanted to say, obviously, the France-Germany game, I think was at the time, I thought it was the final. That game seemed like it could have been played as the finals. Just the intensity, the players on the pitch. It felt like it was Chelsea versus Munich versus and the rest of the world. That's what it felt. But it was really fun to see that. And then I enjoyed the Germany-Portugal game. I think I enjoyed that, but I preferred the intensity of the France-Germany game. But just to kind of go a little different here, the team that I've actually enjoyed the most so far has to be Italy. That's the team that I've actually enjoyed watching their games, not just like watching them as a team. Sorry, watching them the way they're playing their football. I think is the best. But in terms of the game-wise, I would say the France-Germany game. And I also picked what was it? I picked what was the team that you guys said? Was it Italy? Someone just mentioned now that Germany, sorry. So I actually did pick because I'm part of a fantasy for the Euros, like prediction thing or whatever. And I picked Germany to finish above Portugal. So
Okay.
Yeah,
that's actually a very good shout.
Yeah, they probably will.
They probably will.
Yeah.
Idris, any thoughts before we move over to?
No, for me, I will skip on this because I was going to go with the Netherlands and the the Netherlands and the Ukraine game, right? Yeah, that was the game I was going to go with, and I, as usual, Jola found a way to take it to the coaching side, and he's right. He's right. But also I would say Netherlands missed a lot of chances in that game. The kid that got his last, I cannot remember his name. The kid that got his last and his first, the last goal for Netherlands and the first international goal. Let's be honest, he could have had like 2 clean ones. So yeah, poor manager in terms of the ball. We don't trust him. That's why we're saying this. But I think they've won their first 2 games, right? I think they won the second game, right?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, they won the second game, and the kid again scored another goal. So that's 2 goals. I mean, in
Dumfries, right?
Yeah. Yes, that Dumfries. That's the name of the kid. Yeah. So I mean, 2 wins, which is just suspect. The issue is Jola is allergic to shitty coaches having a way to get to. So I know where you're coming from, sir. I will stay away from the criticism for now. But it's very valid. It's very valid. You can't just have some coaches just wiggling their way, and everybody's like, because even the Ole thing too. I used to want to poke AY and be like, hey, look at how he's doing. But you know what, man? After that Europa final, I can't. There's just certain things I can't tolerate. And as a Chelsea fan, we hire and fire Randstad staffing company. What some of these coaches are doing is beyond me. It's all I gotta say. So I don't have the mouth to talk in this.
Talking about coaches, and I think it's a perfect segue. Talking about coaches, Gareth Southgate. I'm going to leave the floor to Oga Kwame to start with this. Since his favorite topics.
Where do you want me to? How much time?
So this is my first question. This is my first question. And I want everybody to start thinking about it. So I will come around to each person. Is it being too conservative, or based on what we have seen in this tournament? Because it looks like when things slightly open up. Because I want to give a nuanced opinion and nuanced side to this. Most teams that have opened up have gotten almost destroyed in a way. Some of the big teams, Portugal, for example, France were lucky to escape with a draw against Hungary. So are we being too critical that he's been pragmatic, or he's just being flat out too conservative and bad coaching? So Jera, take the floor. Okay,
So with Southgate, I think one of the very first marks of a terrible manager is that they cannot name their first 11 from their sleep.
Boom!
Gareth Southgate.
Oh, by the way, sorry, Jola, just get it. I'll be doing side sound effects.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Keep going, sir. Keep going.
So, like this man cannot name his starting 11. He cannot do it. From the first game, right? We saw the bullshit. First of all, with playing Kieran Trippier at left back.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost everybody here had the England starting 11 picked, whether on the Sky Sports website or the BBC website, or even mentally, right? I know not one person put Trippier at left back. Why? And that is because we have Shaw and Ben Chilwell, right? So he ignores those two, puts Trippier at left back, and then he clearly doesn't value. He clearly doesn't value technical players. From what I see from Southgate's substitutes and the way and even his starting 11, he prefers pace and being quick over actual technique, right? Hence the reason we keep seeing Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, and we've not seen Jadon Sancho. We've seen very little of Jack Grealish. So that's just very. I almost want to say that this man. The reason he's not picking Jadon Sancho might just be that English elitist nature. If he's not British, he's not good. if you don't play in England, you're not playing, right? Other than that, I don't know why else you would have a Jadon Sancho on the bench and not use him. Now, going to Ayo's question about whether he's right to be very pragmatic and not go for everything. I hear that. I completely hear you. But see, he already has Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice in front of his back four. That's enough. What else do you need in terms of protecting your back four? Tyrone Mings is not the best, but he's good. I mean, he's been performing okay. He hasn't come against like legit strikers, Ante Rebic, Croatia. He's not that good. Who did they just play? Scotland. Dykes and all that, But hey, they've been solid. Right, John Stones is all right, but he has those two in front of them, right? But the problem is the rest of the pitch. It's just Mason Mount is a good player, yes, but who else is creating the chances for Harry Kane? How many times am I going to see Kane coming deep, right? So I hear that he has to be pragmatic, and a lot of teams who have thrown caution to the wind, they've suffered for it in this tournament, but that is no reason for the poor performances and the terrible football we've seen from England so far.
Great point. So let's go to the hype man. Boom! It's your turn, hype man.
First and foremost, I quickly downloaded some quick sound effects. So
good.
All I just heard Jola say is this:
"You're ugly. You're ugly, and your mother."
Straight up, this guy is allergic to crap and anything that reminds him of Ole. God damn, brother is not having it. Yeah, so traumatic. This is a moment of I'm in a relationship. Then my ex comes in. Goes. My new babe comes in, and she's exhibiting traits of the ex. My guy's traumatized.
Cut it. Don't let it grow. Cut it.
Cut it. It's like, what are we watching right now? But honestly, I agree with him. The elitist thing, I'm trying so hard. I will even say, like, one person that hates the English elitist thing with all his passion is our Chelsea homeboy David. Where he hates anything that the English people try to make sense out of rubbish, that he just quickly throws the elitist card out. But I will also say one thing. Right, I also think it's a level of coaching, and forgive me for, if I've learned anything from the likes of like Lampard, who are actually very good, but there's just levels to the thing. Because when you see somebody give you a Ferrari on a racetrack and the way one person drives it before versus the way another person drives it, you're just like, there's levels to this thing. You know what I mean, right? I mean, you have the highest goal scorer in the Premier League, one of the toughest leagues in the world, and the highest assist person, and you ended up with a 0-0 situation. You know, you have one of the most lethal wingers and hardworking young bloods in Foden, Mason Mount, Jadon Sancho, just name it. To just keep what's his name, Kane in the box. They need to keep him around where he's leaders, not doing too much work. Then you find out Kane is having to come down, pick ball, build up play. Something is off, man. Like something is really, really off when you see certain characteristics of players having to overdo certain things to compensate. And that's not the player. That's not the players. That boils down to tactics and the coach. And there are so many things that Southgate has gotten away with that we know. If Southgate wasn't English, we know if Sven Eriksson got torn apart because he won't play 4-4-2, what they're used to, just tinkering when he was, and he was not respected throughout. I think Fabio Capello too was one of their coaches. There's almost anything Don Fabio did was just wrong to them. Italian style. We need to see an English manager manage, and when an English manager comes in, look at his rubbish, man. This English team is probably one of the most talented bunch of players in a very long time. I think not to over exaggerate, probably rivaling level of talent could rival their first World Cup winning team. Like, look at the entire squad. England has got like levels, 3 positions deep in each position. You understand? To win even the World Cup, and this is the guy they gave the wheel to drive. If they have to beg Sir Alex Ferguson to come from retirement and help them, they should go and do that. If they have to beg Glenn Hoddle to come back and come and handle the situation, they should. This guy does not know what he's doing. Sorry, he doesn't.
Okay. First of all, Sir Alex Ferguson will probably not care since he's Scottish. He probably likes the fact that England is struggling.
Yeah.
Josh, what are your thoughts? Southgate.
Okay, so the first game, England versus Croatia, the lineup, obviously, I was surprised that he started Phil Foden, but Phil Foden had a good game, so I can't really fault him for that. Everyone gassed him up, and I watched that game, and I'm like, okay, England could have won this game by more than, I was disappointed with Croatia. I thought Croatia was going to do better, but we realized that Croatia is half the team that they were in the World Cup. Yeah. So I'm looking at this England team. I'm like, you guys should be destroying this team, and nothing. Yep. Huffed and puffed. Kind of reminded me of my favorite club, and once again, the English fans, just like my favorite club's fan base, gassing up poor performances. And then you had I watched the Rio 5, and Rio is gassing up Southgate. I'm just like, this is a recipe for disaster. Right away, I was like, this is going to be fun. The last show, I talked about how Southgate is basically Ole in a waistcoat, except this time he forgot his waistcoat at home. So let me read you a comment from one of my good friends. His mom's English. He's Canadian. His dad's Canadian. Sorry, vice versa. Mm-hmm. And he's a Liverpool fan. And this was his comment on Facebook. I'm going to say this. This was after that Scotland game. This is what he says. I have never seen a more spineless and gutless display from a captain and coach in my life. Outcoached, outplayed, Scotland deserved the win. The only player who was trying to go forward was taken off. Does that sound familiar? Absolutely dreadful display. Maybe if England wore their jerseys back to front, they would pass up the field. So, to all the England fans that are, all the English people that are, fans of Liverpool's, the Cities, Chelsea's, now you understand what United players feel all season. That comment there summarized what we talk about Manchester United and Ole. And now I just feel the only sympathy I have is for the United fans who are also British or English and have to deal with that, on the club level and on a national level. The fact that you have players like Grealish, Sancho, the list goes on the bench, even against that Croatia game. Why are you not making a sub? You had control of the game. The players you had on were not doing it. Switch it up. What does he do? He takes Foden, who was arguably one of their best players, and brings on Rashford to do what? You know what I mean? And then you talk about Maguire. What is Maguire doing on that team? I know everyone is making fun of Tyrone Mings. To be honest, the 2 games I've seen of Mings, he looks better than Maguire. And I know people might take me on this, but I've watched Maguire play. Let's not kid ourselves and act like Maguire is this world-class defender that England is in dire need of. I think Mings has done his job, and I think people are too critical of Mings because he plays for Aston Villa and whatnot. And yeah, he has his reckless moments. But what does Maguire do? What does Maguire really do? Like, we talked about with Man United, he missed 2 games in the entire season. He has the most minutes played across Europe between him and Bruno Fernandes. Misses 2 games. We concede 2 goals in those 2 games, and everyone's gassing it up like, oh, if we had Maguire. What about the 48 goals that we conceded for the rest of the season? Maguire was there though with Lindesoft. So people are so quick to react because one person is missing, so they just look for targets. So that's my thing. And I gotta say, like, you're right, Idris, you're right.
I like
This
that.
is probably the most talented England team there is in terms of versatility. They have players in every department that can bring something different. Like when you think about that Beckham era, all the players just seem so similar. Your Scholes, your Gerrards, your Lampard, they all just kind of seem the same player on the field. This is a team that can bring so much on that pitch. But what do we have? A pragmatic coach who doesn't know when to make subs, when to make the right subs, and takes off the wrong subs. I mean, the wrong players. So that's my spiel, guys, on the England team and Southgate.
Dial. I like that. Idris, just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Idris and vibes. Dio, come and give us Dio is the tactical man. Dio.
You're talking about England, right? Are you talking about England? Are you?
England, yes, England.
Honestly, like I think maybe you guys might be a little bit too hard on them, but maybe I think they'll probably pick up during the tournament. Maybe
you can't say that we are being harsh on them. There's 3v1 right now. That's why I use that. Oh yeah, like bro.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit harsh on them.
That you suddenly jab people. You're like, oh, we're talking about England, right? You're talking. Oh, I think I've just been harsh on them, sir.
Yeah, England is they're okay, and probably they're gonna probably. To be honest, they are one of the more talented teams left in the tournament, and I think they can cause problems. I see them going as far as semi-final, depending on who they meet. I think they are on course. If they finish first, they will be third in Germany's group. So I don't know if they might run into Germany or Portugal or France very soon.
Jola's trying to be respectful. He wants
to give me Tour de France or
like at the World Cup. You remember the last World Cup, right?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, if you're talking about semi-final, you might be talking about another tournament. Because if you're talking about this same tournament, bruh.
They should have their way to the semi-final.
Semi-final of the MLS, maybe.
That was how nobody gave Chelsea a fan. That was how nobody gave
As they say in Yoruba, kill and get kill and where are we coming from? Where are we going? What? Like
well, a lot of people didn't give Chelsea a fan. See where they got themselves. Now they are refusing to come down now.
Yeah, if you're right, I'll come back and say you're right. But I'll note that.
Yeah, but I think
So,
they are different depending on who they mean. Like, they struggled against Croatia, they struggled against Scotland. I'm looking forward to how they play when they play a top side. Maybe they'll raise their game. But well, um, well, let's just leave it at that because a lot of teams have not really lit up. I know one of the favorites will still end up winning. Probably one of France that has been underwhelming. Maybe one of Portugal. You know how Portugal won the last tournament, right? They didn't
yeah.
even do anything. They won one game in 90 minutes, and they won the
Hey, don't
tournament.
remind me. Do not remind me.
Yeah, they won one game in 90 minutes,
Okay.
and they won the tournament. They like France. Someone was telling me that before the game against Hungary, throughout the World Cup, France always has less than 40% possession, and they won the World Cup. So everybody, it's just a knockout tournament. You just have to pick your moments. You'll struggle. You just get along with it. Like a lot of people, like Idris, I mentioned it again. Many people wrote off Chelsea when we were saying Lampard, and everybody was just like, "Give me that Chelsea." Like you go to Mama Put and be pointing at that Shaki. Give me that.
Excuse you, sir. Excuse you.
Give me that roundabout.
Like again.
But it's true though. Like when Frank Lampard was there, though, everyone said
Everybody was
that
like,
Chelsea
give me
team-
that guy, give me that guy.
Yeah, yeah,
And-
that Chelsea team could have
Like,
won.
and-
Yeah, and exactly what we said is what happened after Frank left. So you're right. As much as it's funny, it is true.
No, and but here's the thing too, right? Because we had a lot of young kids in Chelsea. So for us,
Let's not go to Chelsea. Let's not go to Chelsea.
yeah, okay. But I was going to compare the part of like where the project at so-called Chelsea is still way ahead of schedule. You know what I mean, right? So there's that leeway, like, we just got them, still young. But when you're looking at the likes of England, like, bruh, you got the little, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's ready, it's hot, it's good to go. And the guy just driving it anyhow. Even with United, I was forced to accept that, like, oh, now I see the difference, like, you cannot, like, you've come this far, you got to win it. Villarreal, you got to win it. Then you take a seasoned coach who obviously missed his waka to Arsenal, should not have ever been in that club, then takes a team that has no budget, nothing, and beats United in the finals. How do I now go back and look at United fans and tell them that, like, oh, maybe you guys are overreacting? It's hard because all I had to say to shut me up, or even Josh to make his point and shut me up is, guy, look at Villarreal, yeah, shit. And they won. And look at us. And I was like, like, it's really tough to defend that. And you look at England, and you look at Southgate playing Declan Rice and what's his name in the middle?
Calvin Phillips.
Calvin Phillips. They're going to hype that poor guy into being shit in the future. They're calling the new N'Golo Kante. I'm like, God, here we go. like it sucks because now he stifled Harry Kane, as you mentioned, Dio. Like, he's having to drop back because of the coach's decision with two defense. Now, I know what's so crazy about that selection. Billy freaking Gilmore, who happens to be his first cap, wins the MVP. So that just tells you the coach fucked up. If that boy can dance around your entire midfield and you stifled Harry Kane up front, something is off. And that
Anaya, back to your question.
Oh, go ahead.
A conservative team, well, when you get to a tournament like this, a knockout tournament, maybe it pays to be more conservative than to be more expansive, because you always get you look at France, see what they do. They just bunker and just counter everybody, and they won the last World Cup. You don't get points for style in a knockout tournament. Just win.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
In conclusion, though, the way I just see it is, for Southgate, in my opinion, is there was no reason. I understood it against Croatia. That's fair. You have to respect that midfield. The midfield of Kovacic, Modric, and Brozovic. That's a very, very good midfield. I get that.
Yeah.
But we are playing Scotland. Come on, that's like Passion FC. That's Passion FC, Passionistas. Like there was no need. When it got to like halftime, 60 minutes, there was no need. Grealish should have come on. Jadon Sancho should have come on. Like they literally played into Scotland's hand, playing the whole. Scotland outworked them, and all they needed just more game breakers, right? Someone that can play between the lines, that can take on their man one-on-one on dribble. Because once that happens, that opens up the space. You cannot be compact if you have one place that can beat 1-2. If you have like two people that can beat one or two players quickly on the turn, on the dribble, it opens up the spaces. But he now takes out Foden. You're looking for a goal. Take out Foden, like I'm bringing Grealish. I'm like, why? You need game breakers. So yeah, for me, that performance was very pathetic. And when I look at Southgate, I'm like, I've tried not to be as critical as him as so many people have been, because I felt like he did well in the last World Cup, in my opinion. Get to semi-final, and like everybody says, there's no points for star. It's about winning. I think he did very well, in my opinion. I think England got as far as they could have got in that last World Cup semi-final. So I think he did very well. But this time, yes, it's all about being like a conservative, trying to win. But the problem I'm seeing with Southgate and England versus France is, at least with France, all their top players are getting played. They're already getting battled. It's about getting battle tested early. You're preparing your players for the tougher stages ahead. France already like playing everybody, all their key guys. If you are England and Jadon Sancho hasn't played one game, Grealish has barely played. You think that all of a sudden in the quarterfinal or second round you're going to throw Sancho that's not played 3-4 games? All of a sudden just going up. It's not a light bulb. Turn on the light like that. You have to let them get battle tested. Let them go to the trenches, and it's not doing that. And that's my major worry. Is like, okay, when we get to when they get to the knockout stages, and all these guys, talent, depth you have, you're not just going to throw them on. I think they'll just switch it on. They need time to blend with the team to create some level of chemistry. He's not even doing that. So the third game, my light is fully on him for that third game, because I want to see if he's going to make bold changes. So that's my opinion about him. Let's segue to who has been the most underwhelming team of the tournament so far.
Oh, I gotta say Turkey, man.
Based on how we rated.
Turkey has been the most underwhelming team still.
Hold up. You hear that sound? Roll that record back. It's a scratch, man. Someone said Turkey was the dark horse. And
I remember that. Who said that? I need to roll that tape back. Who said that? Is that you just own up now? Or I roll the tape back for evidence?
I am coming back. My start is
wasn't me.
Man has his hands up.
I like how everybody's the reason I said, because there was something about Turkey, and there was a way, and I think because of that COVID thing, right? But I'll let Josh finish. But sorry, Josh, I just had to come in with that.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Like, I did not, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying this now because of hindsight, but honestly, I didn't really know too much about Turkey. I just know people had talked about their qualification, and I think they beat. Was it Portugal? They beat. Yeah. So they beat some good teams on the way. Sorry.
Was it Portugal? Maybe it was Portugal or France. I can't remember. They beat big teams along the way. They did.
Yeah, I think it was even Germany they beat. I think it was Germany. But they beat a couple of, they had a really good run up to the Euros. But I didn't really know too much. I only know a couple of their players, but I didn't really think that they were going to be a threat. But but it was just really disappointing to see, because everyone had talked so much about them. And then the one team that no one really talked about, which was Italy, is a team that is actually, doing bits. So for me, it's like, really, everyone had talked so much about Turkey, and this is their performance, and it's on characteristics of Turkey as well.
Hold up. You hear the sound effects? Actually, AY said Italy, although we didn't mention Italy, as you were right, Josh, but AY had mentioned that Italy under Mancini had not lost a game for almost a year or something. And that actually made me rethink. I remember saying either Germany or Italy will somehow wiggle their way into finals, and one useless team will also end up there or something like that. I remember. Because of that, but Italy is leading 1-0 right now. So sorry, sir. I'm just with the
no, it's fine. And you know what? Though, it was after we had a couple of Euro build-up shows on this channel, and also on my channel as well. I started looking. I was like, okay. I looked at other people's perspectives on this, and I luckily I listened. I actually do have a former coworker who is Italian, and from there I was like, you know what? I changed it last minute to Italy first and then Wales second. So fingers crossed. That's what happens. But I think overall, Italy, I just felt like the players were still very young. I was given Italy the World Cup was when I thought we were going to see the best of Italy. Like same with the Netherlands. I just felt their team was still a bit too young and not as experienced to, especially since that both teams had missed the World Cup, right? They haven't been in like 2 tournaments now, international tournaments, or just 1. So for me, I felt like them just coming back for the first time after a very long time with young players. I just felt as much as they have good players, they're just not there based on experience. But they're proving us wrong, and I was giving them the World Cup, to really get that experience going. But yeah, I think Turkey overall, and like I said, it's been on characteristics of Turkey because they typically have a heart. They usually put on a fight, right? They don't just. I just feel like they just are not there. They just feel like they just don't have the passion that they typically have. They don't have the zeal to play for their country. The stuff that we've always seen from Turkey. So it's just been disappointing overall.
I would just say I'll say Turkey's a vibes football team. If they're not feeling it from the beginning, it's not happening. It's just inshallah kind of thing, let's see.
Pun intended. Inshallah and vibes tactics. Inshallah and vibes. That's a good one. I think that shout for me that's very underwhelming. Obviously, they're not most, but I think England has very, very underwhelming so far, in my opinion. I think they have. Let's go to the other side. Who has?
Oh wait! I have an underwhelming team. I thought we're gonna have Dio and Co. That's why I waited. So I'm gonna just do my quick record scratch. Hold up. Rewind it a bit. Spain. Are we gonna act like Spain?
Okay, that's a good shout. Yes, they have been.
Spain, yeah.
1,000 passes. They have 1,000 passes. No end product. Dress it up nice. Somebody else eats your dinner like this.
I think somebody needs to tell Spain that the object of the game is to actually score. Somebody.
How can that be the objective when you're using a money laundry subject?
I was about to say the same thing. So, how can you say the same? You want to score and you play Morata. Why not just play with Werner?
The guy in the center of a money laundry suspect.
So just play with Werner now, so that we know that you want to score.
Exactly. Like former Chelsea people.
His nickname is Alvaro Werner now. That's what they call him.
Yes.
No, actually, it was the winner before Werner. He
was the
winner.
It was the winner before Werner. Elder statesman things.
Morata has been doing it for like half a decade now, before Werner even knew what to do.
And the fact that guy still costs teams anything above 500,000 euros is beyond me. That guy, they're paying 5 million for this guy. Chukwueze is killing it in Villarreal, and they're not even paying for that boy.
Morata is so bad. Morata should be paying his own transfer fee.
Exactly.
You know what it is? I gotta say, Idris, I gotta say this, man. Nigerian players need to change their agents because I don't get this. It's like Nigerian players are the only African players, like in recent history, that do so well but do not get the credit that they deserve. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, what's going on here? It's like they either need to change their agents or figure out a way to start, speaking up, because I do agree with that. There's a lot of Nigerian talent that just goes under the radar, or the ones that are half British all want to play for England. So it's like,
and here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm gonna give Pinnicky, the NFF chairman, some credit for trying to sign up all those guys. This guy, it's kind of a push and it's kind of carrot and stick kind of approach, right? You need to welcome these kids back from the diaspora to play. But at the same time, right, you have to also understand there was an article by our own former Chelsea technical director. Please help me out here. Emena Law. And what Emena Law has done in European football, I really think, again, it comes back to me saying some of us don't really hype up our own and what we've done. Emenalo is the reason Chelsea survived under Lampard with 50% of the team from the product and what he convinced the owner to do in terms of buying younger players and grooming them and keeping English talent. Right? His entire work of art came to fruition almost 10 years later, even when Mourinho then and a whole bunch of people are telling Roman that like it doesn't matter. Turns out that academy has helped us balance the books, brought players forward. Now, what like having people like Emenalo in those positions, also they negotiate with agents and people. There are very few of our people there also speaking on behalf of these kids in those pockets and in those spaces. Let's be honest, the Black British kids, it took a lot of like Black folks and Black parents to be able to look at what their white counterparts are doing, their Arab counterparts are doing, and their Spanish counterparts are saying, you know what, you will negotiate with me, the father or the mother, where my kids are going to play. And if my kid like Jadon Sancho isn't getting game time or Jude Bellingham isn't getting game time in England, we're going to Germany. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Before, English players don't leave the country. The oddball out here is Trippier, who went to Atletico Madrid as a white British kid. How many of them do you see leave England and thrive outside? They rarely do. Only the best talents that get pulled by Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Bayern Munich, they rarely leave. You want to use Owen Hargreaves. Owen Hargreaves, okay, yeah, he's English, but he's actually from Calgary. He's actually from my city here. He's Canadian. Born and raised there, they moved there because his grandfather is English, right? So what I'm trying to say with all these things is now that we have Black British parents and a lot of African parents being involved in their kids' future and how they move, look at Fikayo Tamori. Dad is Canadian and Nigerian and his mom, born in Calgary too, right? But at the same time, he's English, right? Being in England, raised under the Chelsea umbrella and everything. When he came to the end of this season, time for him to move, his parents played a massive role in him going to AC Milan. He was like, no, we don't have time here. We love Chelsea, but your career comes first. And I'm sure negotiating for that boy cost AC Milan 24 million euros. That's an expensive so-called African child that has gone there. Napoli paid a lot of money for what's his name? Help me out here.
Osimhen. 70 million euro.
Exactly. Osimhen is making some mad coin, and he's a very powerful midfield. So once we start seeing those agents who work for some of these guys, as you mentioned, thrive, have connections to the likes of the Emena laws and co, then we will start seeing real valuation of some African talents and Nigerian talents. We just need to get our people in those spots of the trading to be able to have the money trickle down and options for our players. Sorry for the rant.
Yeah, and I think that's you just explained it really well, because I didn't even know half of the stuff, and I really appreciate that. That was really informative. And also, I think too, the Nigerian FA too also needs to do a better job, because I haven't really followed the Nigerian FA in a long time, ever since the days of JJ Okocha and those guys. And it's like, I know that from a country standpoint, we don't do the greatest jobs for our players to motivate them to come to Nigeria and play. So I do.
I would say we always talk about the bad things within our community, but in the last 5 years, watching this new guy with all his problems, let's be honest, he's in CAF, he's no more in CAF, all those things that they do on power play. Honestly, how Nigeria's evolved from the Nike deal, because that's something close to what you're talking about, so about valuation of African talent and stuff. Yeah, I think we compared to what United did. That was huge. In like an African team, the vibes, the artists, the actual art on our jersey and everything that we've never been able to do before. The FA was able to even we signed one of the biggest deals for national team with Nike, and most of the money comes to us, and that's huge. And we haven't heard a lot of problems about salary payment, hotel room stuff, but once one of those things come up, we make noise about it, right? But if you notice, in the past couple of years, we've been having internationals, we've never had this problem. We've not talked about it, So sponsors are coming through. The federal government is helping. We kind of have to give people their roses while they're alive, rather than just bury them when every time we do something wrong. So because when we give roses, it becomes the norm. We don't. You understand? We need to let people know that, you're doing well. We see what you're doing, and the coaches have been there for more than 4-5 years. Samson Siasia not Samson Siasia. Joseph Yobo is now the assistant coach of the national team. So they're actually investing in talent. Hopefully, Samson I can clear his name with the FIFA situation he found himself. But remember, he was assistant coach. He was coach before. He was assistant coach, and the most successful Nigerian coaches we've had is Westerhoff, Bonfrey Joe, yes, but we've also had Amadou Shuaibu and may he so rest in peace, and our foremost captain Stephen Keshi. They've all accomplished the same things those white folks have. So if we can get Yobo and Siasia doing well, we'll see them again in these spaces. So just have to throw that in, give them their roses while they're still alive.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, let me. I didn't want to tip my own horn, but hold up. Thank you.
Good job. So let's go quickly. Let's spend the last 5-10 minutes. Most impressive team so far, obviously. I think there's the obvious pick here, the Italians. I would say they've been really, really impressive.
And the
very
Belgians.
organized. I think. Oh, Belgians, that's a good shout. Okay, Belgium. For me, the Italians are just the most organized, very impressive. Yeah. I think they're already leading the game today. They made a lot of changes. So, I mean, other comments says Belgium. I think Belgium too has been extremely good too. And they look like they're on the rise. Any other team? Anybody has a team on throw in the ring, apart from the Italians and the Belgians?
That you mean that are doing well in this tournament?
Yeah, they are most impressive teams so far.
Okay. Yeah, Italy was definitely the team for me. Can I really say another? Although Belgium hasn't really Yes, Belgium. Yeah, I'll say Belgium, but I just don't. I'm just not buying into their project. I'm just not buying into it. I'm not getting gassed with Belgium. I just feel like they haven't really met. KDB came on and changed the last game, which was really, you got to give props to KDB for that. But other than that, I just feel like I still haven't really seen enough from Belgium to say that, they're going to be one of the favorites to win. But
and I think one of the
reasons not from anybody.
No, but even let's talk about France for a second, right? Like France reminds me right now of, well, like we said, France has never really played exciting. They just play counter-attacking football. They're very balanced, and they just know their role, right? France is kind of reminds me of the Spanish team from 2010 that won the World Cup. That team, the 2012 Euros, the second Euros they won. That 2012, where it was just like cruise control. They were not impressive at all, but they just had the experience. They still had the quality players in the right places, and they just got the job done. And I feel like that's where France is right now, whereby, they're not playing the most exciting football, but they just have the quality to see it over the line, or hopefully that's the goal. But I just feel like that's where they are. So even though, France may not have shown much, you can still see the quality that is there. Belgium, I just feel like Belgium is a very aging team. Apart from Lukaku, KDB, there really isn't too many players that are actually okay, you're going to do something today. You know what I mean? And when you have those two players, it's very easy to shut up. It's very easy to defend against Lukaku, sit back. Same with KDB. KDB, I still say KDB has to be in a good system. I think he's a great player, but he doesn't have too many tools in his toolbox. And that's where, for me, I feel like when you play teams that are defensively solid, I think KDB will struggle at some point as well. And I think that's where Belgium will start struggling. So for me, I'm still not seeing Belgium as that balanced team that can go far. I think Germany has really impressed me, though. I got to say, I think Germany is arguably one of the most balanced teams in the tournament.
Okay. I'm not fully convinced with France, to be very honest. As much as I want them to win, I'm not. I'm last tournament, last World Cup. The thing that I always saw about them, that solidity, compactness, and how hard they were hard to break down or get at. I'm not seeing that in this tournament. I am not, and I'm going to be honest. They were very lucky to get away with that win against Germany. Germany will a little bit more clinical.
Very
France
lucky.
So right now,
3 goals to Germany 0
against Germany. No, France and Germany.
The 3 goal offsides, but it was very close margins, though.
No, the point.
That Mbappe goal,
half,
I was sad that did not.
The second half, Germany outplayed France 7. The second half, Germany outplayed France. Josh, I know you have your Le Blues.
No, they definitely did. They definitely did. I was nervous. Don't get me
They
wrong,
did.
man. I was biting my nails.
Yeah, so I'm not. I'm just to be honest. I mean, France is the team I support. You know, players, also players I like, and I want them to win. But I'm not convinced. I'm saying I'm putting it out there now. Defensively, I'm not convinced. I would not be shocked if France gets knocked out in the quarterfinals by like Italy or a Belgium. I would not be shocked. I'm putting it out there right now. I would not be because I'm looking at. You said what?
I said I agree. I agree with you.
I'll not be shocked.
Yeah, I do see that. I do see
as
that.
as they were during the World Cup, and maybe they will progressively get better, which is what happens in these tournaments, right? We've seen this so many times. 2018, at this time of tournament, all of us thought, Brazil. It looked like Brazil. We're going to run away. Coutinho was flying. At this stage, in the group stages, Coutinho was killing everybody. It looked like Brazil were untouchable, and France won. You know, so I always put that caveat that it's too early to tell who is going to win because right now, what happens in tournament football? People pick. You know, it's a gradual climb. So we don't know anything yet. Let's be clear. But I'm just still not convinced. I need to see more from them defensively. Offensively, oh, they're awesome. I mean, they have probably the best offensive talent you can ever like. Just cheat codes. Mbappe is a cheat code. Benz is a cheat code. Pogba is somewhat of a cheat code in midfield. You know, it's like they have cheat codes everywhere. N'Golo Kante is a cheat code as a box-to-box destroyer. So they have cheat codes everywhere. But sometimes better organized teams can overcome that. That's what I'm going to say about that. Player of the tournament so far. We'll go to other comment. Who's your player of the tournament? Let's end with that. Who has been your player of the tournament so far? Who has impressed you the most?
Who has impressed me the most? Honestly, Dani Olmo. I think Dani Olmo in Spain. I said it when we were doing the Euro preview. I was looking out for him, and he hasn't disappointed me so far. I mean, it's easy to talk about the Ronaldos, the Lukakus, but I mean, if Lukaku is playing against Russia, I expect him to score. You know, I mean, it's whatever. But I think Olmo has been a very good. He's been a very good cog in that Spanish wheel.
Okay. Dio, who has impressed you the most? That's not Dani Olmo.
Well, I'll probably say, Locatelli, the Italian.
Yeah.
Maybe guys like Patrick Schick, especially for that goal.
That goal was incredible. That's probably the goal of the tournament so far. Maybe.
Or the year.
Yeah.
Or the goal of the year. Let's
call it.
Yeah. and in terms of teams that are actually looking good, impressive, that Czech team, the Czech Republic team, is also looking good. They're looking very good.
I agree.
That was so hard in my fantasy the teams, because Eastern European teams are always the upset. They always upset teams, and it's so hard to gauge, like the Ukraines, the Czech Republics, the Russias. It's so hard because they just have heart. They just like play with everything that they've got. So I do agree with the Czech. Shout out.
Idris, any other player want to throw in?
Nah, not really. Like all the big boys are doing. Sorry?
I said Billy Gilmore.
No, but obviously for me, as I was as a Chelsea guy, for me, Bill Gilmore stands out right now in the sense of what he did in his first game.
Hey, that was just a trick. Don't start any Chelsea.
I know. I'm gonna, yeah.
Let's see Chelsea glass.
You say stand out. Wait, you say stand out because when you ask all the other gentlemen, right? The thing is, you expect the same thing from the creme de la creme. And the creme de la creme are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know what, right? They're doing what they're supposed to do. And those that were expecting to miss goals, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, like everybody is answering their father's name in this competition the way we expect them to display their home training. It's working the way it's supposed to be working. On the odd, I'll just give a massive shout out to Goran Pandev from Macedonia. They're just part of my people, Vibes and Inshallah. They're just there to mark attendance. I'm happy for them. but I'll say Goran Pandev, for 37-year-old man, still being able to bang goals and lead the team. I'm happy for them. That's about it.
Okay.
Everybody's
That's a good point. For me, Locatelli, and like you said, I was very impressive as a DM. Like, man, this guy is so good. I look at him, maybe United should get in. I get in that phase, but then I just remember the club I support. I'm like, nah, that's too easy. We won't get him. We're going to get somebody else. The fact that that's the transfer that makes so much sense. I know we will not do it, so we're going to do something else. We're probably going to go and throw 90 million at Declan Rice, and then we say, oh, we don't have any transfer budget, so I don't want to go. I don't want to go to United route. But for me, Locatelli and Berardi have been very, very good. That's like the Sassuolo combination from SAS. For people who follows Italian Serie A, I've been very, very impressed with two of them. Now let's go to let's end with, since you said players are supposed to miss goals and missing goals. Let's go to the players that have underwhelmed so far. I'm just going to start with the obvious elephant in the room, Alvaro Morata. Man, I don't know if he's jinxed, if he's cursed, because I don't look at him as a bad player. He has one or two things that makes him, you could say, this guy could be a very good player. Like when I look at Morata, but the things some of the key things that makes strikers very good or great strikers, just one or two key things, in my opinion, like composure. He just has never had it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the elephant in the room. The underwhelming player is Morata.
And I was asking someone to okay, I'm curious about Morata. Why do some players just miss chances? I don't know. It can be statistically explained. The high test, Morata probably misses 90% of the chances he gets one-on-one. Same with Werner. What is unique about these people? Is it that they didn't have the proper football training when they were growing up?
For some of their supporters, they will say, check out the run. I'm just shooting shots at certain
Okay, look, Idris, honestly, they make good runs. They make perfect runs. But
stop that. Stop that. Don't help them make that point.
At the point where they just did, when I just be like, the ball is most of the time eating. It's the ball that's striking Werner. And, and he doesn't, maybe the ball strikes Werner instead of Werner striking the ball. So he just the ball does to him what he should be doing to the ball. So he doesn't even know what to do. Morata will make the perfect run. He will do the perfect layup. He will show up in the right places. They will get the ball to him. And at that point in time, they just press his button from Village and, he does what he does.
I need a sound effect, Idris. Sound effect for that.
But don't you feel that way about Morata? Sometimes you start feeling sorry for him. This guy, you've done everything. You got to this position. And at that point, it's like his brain just loses connection with his leg. And, something just happened.
As I said, I have never seen a guy work so hard. For
exactly. He would do everything. He would do everything perfectly. And when it's just time, he was just like, okay, something will just grow off on his brain.
And I think that's why I think Social sometime, I think talking about we were talking about how he was helping.
You see how that cap quickly
No. Social was a little finish.
Jola is going to a drive-by. Jola is going to go and shoot somebody. He said, let me just drive by and shoot Social first before I go to
No. I'm not talking about Social the player. Like you were talking about.
Okay, my bad.
Finishing is just being confident and having that composure. And that's just what it is. Yeah. Some players just don't have that. Some players just
sometimes you see these players, Werner and Morata, they struggle so much and you see them on the field so beaten down and so everybody start feeling sorry for them. Okay, I don't want to even troll him anymore. It's like
But you see, no. I think you should not feel sorry, because even when I played at my so-called amateur level, college level, right? I'll be very honest with you. I had pace. I had this Werner syndrome thing at one point in time, right? That's why I have no sympathy for him. I had that issue. And the things when I realized that the boy that is benching me, there's just certain things God have given certain people, and some of us, our brain is not connecting in certain things. Then just to remain in the team, I did what I was good at, and I was humble, and I made sure if I can't score, assist, be useful to the team. And funny enough, that one thing I put myself into, I will win MVP trophies. And in my head, I was even up to some of these guys. But there was something the coach was seeing. That like, okay, this guy, he's humble now. He's doing his job. Do you understand? And that was a character development for me as a person. Why I don't feel pity for Werner and Alvaro Morata and the likes. If this was, and I don't want to play the risk card, when Lukaku was banging goals in United and everybody came for the boy, we were borderline racist issues, borderline straight up abuse. And Lukaku starts at United. Tell me the last time United had a striker that gave those kind of stats since Van Persie.
Okay.
Sincere talk. You understand what I'm trying to say? Sincere talk. But somehow everybody will trash him. Oh, his first touch is crap. Please tell me if Alvaro Morata's first touch is any good or Timo Werner.
Okay, so Idris,
sorry, I'll just round up real quick.
Sorry. Finish your point.
I feel no pity for these guys because tomorrow when they put Timo Werner with his shitty assist, Chelsea even had the balls to put this boy up on Instagram saying all Timo Werner's goal of the season. I'm like, are you mad? 5 goals and 8 assists. Are you mad? Why are we doing this? Why are you trying to force him on us? This guy is shit. Why are you forcing him on us? You have a player that has barely played in Giroud, has the exact same
Champions League now. It's a Champions League now.
It's a Champions League, but you have the same stats with Giroud. You're not making noise about Giroud. You have Tammy Abraham that has barely played. When you go and look at Tammy's stats, 12 goals this season. 12 goals. He has barely played. He's not I know few pity for these guys. I know few any pity. If
so, 55 million is
So let me say this. So Idris, like what you were talking about when you play college football is basically, so Timo Werner, like as much as yes, he's not scoring, he's bringing so much to the team. Like defenders have said it. Even defenders have said it that Timo
objection. He's bringing what Pulisic can bring. He's bringing
Pulisic out the ball is useless. Pulisic is because it's not Werner it's off the ball is what I'm talking about. Pulisic is only effective on the ball, and that's great. But Timo is his runs that creates those spaces for Pulisic as well. It's his runs that create the spaces for Harvard to come into the box. It's his run. So I know, I know you're talking about, especially when you have those low blocks.
I'm not disputing that his runs, what he brings helps. But what I'm trying to point out, how mundane his task is, that Pulisic can do it, that any other person can do that task. Because at the end of the day, you can put in Emerson, who plays left back, to be doing the same run, and he will still give you the end product. Emerson himself might score than Timo Werner will or Alvaro Morata because he does score when he gets into that chance. You can put a left back in Alonso. Alonso is ruthless in front of goal. He can do the same runs that you are talking about. Effective. My point is, these guys are not what they hype, and the fact that the team caters to them. That's my problem. I don't personally hate Werner, but there are people like that sit on the bench for the so-called excuses we make for Alvaro Morata and Werner. That's my issue.
Yeah. And it's fun. I do agree. And I do agree, like, okay, like I feel like this is still his first season, but I think he's done enough that I feel like I wouldn't say he was a flop because he's helped Chelsea. I won't say he's a flop, but I think, I say next season, I'm saying like next season, let's see what he does next season. But, and also, I wanted to say your point about Lukaku. I think Kwame, Ayo can all agree no player is good enough. According to Manchester United fans and the Manchester United world, no player is good enough to play on that team. Every player gets scapegoat. Every player gets thrown under the carpet. Watch next season. Bruno maybe scores 10 goals and Bruno will be crap. Pogba is crap. Everybody is crap. You know what I mean? So I don't think when United, but because United is one of the biggest clubs in the world, when the fan base scapegoats a player, every other, like the entire soccer world, runs with that agenda, and a lot of times those narratives are false. But it's because we have such a huge fan base that it spreads like wildfire. So that's why I had nothing against Lukaku. Yeah, his touch was bad, but whatever. Like how many strikers have good touches? You know what I mean?
Me, so I don't believe in what you may say. I don't believe in online abuse. All I believe in this world is let's just keep the same energy for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not saying if Lukaku is getting abused, Timo Werner should be taking it as a champ. I know he works. Don't get me wrong. Alvaro Morata, I don't give a crap for because he literally gave up in Chelsea before he was moved. But as much as you see me making fun of Timo Werner, I love the fact that that guy works. You understand? I love the fact. Yes, you're right. He gives us options, and he's right. But it's just for me. It's just like the pedestal here Morata are on. A lot of players don't have that leeway. What it is, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me more. And I don't want to put it on race. I don't want to put it on country. I don't like it's just some players. I mean, Morata is still. Let me come back to Morata. Morata is still getting Juve to pay Atletico $10 million to loan him. Like, do you understand that? Like, he should not be getting that kind of that. You know what I mean? So those leeway.
Yeah. How does he still keep finding clubs on the top level?
You
I
know
do
what?
agree with that. I do agree with that.
Well, Idris, the problem is why Morata, in Morata in particular, is because there's a scarcity of nines. Nobody has any nine anymore. So what we are doing now is to stretch the lifespan of people that should be retiring already. Okay, all the nines we know in the world today, they are all over 30, in the mid-30s. Lewandowski, Aguero that's supposed to be on his way to Argentina, they hijacked him to Barcelona again. Lewandowski, who again? Ronaldo, they want to kill that guy. They just Suarez that should be chilling somewhere. Everybody, because we can't find anybody. The only people that are under 30 are Kane and Lukaku, and this guy Haaland coming.
And they're all too expensive.
That are solid nine.
So it's also we don't nurture those players you're talking about, Dio.
Yeah,
we don't nurture those players. They do a lot of growth work.
So Morata right now, because everybody, one way or the other, you still need at least one figurehead man to just stay there, like just be your nine, be our focal point. Like that's why still get in the 10 years ago, Morata won't have a job. Like he'll be waiting tables. But today he has someone is still paying for him.
Let me find a sound effect. Let me find a sound effect for that gunshot.
No, but for real, okay, see Benzema now. They're still extending the life of Benzema. Aguero, Suarez, everybody.
Benzema. But you see these people you are mentioning, right? Again, these people you are mentioning, there is, for those, I will explain what this means for those who are not Yoruba. Abinibi and ability.
Inborn.
Like, it's two different things. Like, you're either born with it or you're not. And that goal Benzema scored against Chelsea from nothing. Create, like, just poor header. The poor ball king, poor header, and he knows where the goal is. Morata can never.
Zlatan is 40. Zlatan is 40. AC Milan is still renewing Zlatan's contract because he just did a 9.
Yeah.
Mandzukic, they went to bring Mandzukic from retirement in his village just to come. Like, let's just have a 9. Let's just have anybody just.
There's a dearth of 9s. Yeah, there's a dearth of 9s.
Yeah.
I agree.
And they're cheap options too, right? They're very cheap options. So it just works for the club's budget. It just works for the club. You know what I mean?
But I also
because who is Brazilian 9? Brazil, the greatest 9 producing country of all time. Imagine.
He's not a real 9 though.
So imagine a Brazil's option in the last few years are Jesus, Firmino, and Joe.
Yep.
Look at that. That's Brazil, the country of Romario, Ronaldo, producing those kind of people wearing their 9. Like that's what we are left with in football now.
So I think there's a lack of legit number 9s in world football because a lot of forward players they focus more on pace. They like to cut in from the left. They like that inverted, playing. And we're expecting more goals to be contributed from the midfield as well. So yeah.
On that thought, you and Dio, I have a question for both of you. Is it the actual characteristics of the player, or is it the coaches that are influencing how these players play? Because if I know I'm a Lewandowski and Aguero and your system of play, let's just look at what Pep has done last year to literally push out Aguero. And Aguero's family is saying you are crying crocodile tears, you should stop. Bro, everybody does not want to see Sterling start. But you and I know Pep and false 9 is like a match made in heaven.
Yes.
Even if he had Lewandowski, we find a way to still play a false 9. So my question to both of you is it that the talent isn't there, or is it that they're not really fancy?
Okay, Idris, I'll answer your question. I don't know if we are going. Okay, the thing is, when we were growing up, when I was growing up,
Quickly,
4-4-2
just
was
answer it quickly because we need to wrap up.
yeah,
Sorry.
4-4-2 was the style of play. So
Yes.
4-4-2 has two strikers. So you have
Yes.
a bigger striker and a smaller striker. So you can
Yes.
afford to play a younger guy to learn the ropes, like Rooney was learning the ropes with Van Nistelrooy. But right now you are playing. So most of the guys that play 9 used to be 8 of those days. We used to be the support striker of those days, and the 9s of those days have been phased out. So, like Lewandowski started as an 8 to Luca Barrios, Benzema started as an 8,
Yes.
Aguero started as an 8. They are all progressive. We phased out the 9s, the Luca Tonis of this world, the Yakinis of this world, and we
Yeah.
progressed the 8s to our 9s. So now you now want to play a 9. Would you play an 18-year-old as a 9 if you're not Haaland?
No.
Will you
Yeah.
not play him? You cannot put the pressure of Manchester United or Bayern Munich on an 18-year-old or on a 20-year-old. So
He's
you
not
keep
experienced. He's not experienced enough.
it's not experience, and they don't, and you don't. Okay, we say you're not experienced, but we don't give you the opportunity to get the experience.
Yeah.
So you just Lukaku went to Man U. They flamed him out immediately. He had to find his. Went to Chelsea. They flamed him. He had to go to Everton. Start from the smaller teams. Nobody has any patience for any 9 now. So they'll just probably just bring one of the wingers that is doing well, put you in the 9 position. I think it's the way football is going.
Yeah.
That's a perfect answer, perfect wrap up to talk about. I want quick shout out. I want to talk about like 9, who we know typically is a very good 9, but he has been underwhelming. Maybe not Dodd. I won't call him Dodd or Turner yet, but he has been very underwhelming. It's Harry Kane. And I think maybe
Yeah, that was my
fatigue,
player for most underwhelmed.
he has been very underwhelmering. So
Why
that was just my
underwhelming?
last shout out.
I know you're supposed to wrap
You said
up, but
what?
why underwhelming? I know it's the last wrap up. Why underwhelming? Considering that we've all agreed that the coaching tactics might be stifling him, but I want to hear why you say it's underwhelming.
So yeah, yes. Apart from the coaching, right? Apart from the coaching, for sure, you have to just see like just individual, things that he does well individually, like the runs in the box, the header. There's one chance he had a header where he headed like sideways. Just typical Harry Kane thing that he does, shooting from outside the box, positioning. All of that has been kind of not be there outside of the fact that the coaching has been poor. Yeah, they've not created a lot of chances for him. So that I'm not going to judge him yet, but just the typical things you see from Harry Kane, how lively he is. So it might be fatigue. That's another thing I'm thinking of, right? He has played a lot of games. All these guys, a lot of them have played too many games in the Premier League, the cramp schedule, had to go to Europe. So maybe that's what it is. We have one comment as we go. So someone says it has to be Jorginho. I'm not watching Jorginho that much, but I didn't know he has done badly.
He has been Jorginho, to be honest. And
Hey,
for
guys.
me, he has been
I need to leave real quick. All right, guys.
All right.
All right, take care. I wouldn't have picked Jorginho there, but I'm not sure. To be fair, I've not watched like too many of Italian games. Maybe just one I've watched. But thanks for the comment on Ome as you join us as we wrap up. I'll just say, Idris, thanks for joining us. It's been a good hour and a half. Josh, J Socials, if you're watching, Third Line Talks, J Social is on YouTube. You can find him Twitter. Follow, leave him follow. Check us out to Footy Fantasy. Oga Kwame to part of the team. Check out the show, the OMG show. Another one will come up this week. Oga Kwame, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Idris, do you live in Calgary?
Oh yes, I do.
Oh wow, I might come out and see you then, because I have cousins that live out there, and tickets are looking pretty cheap now. So we'll talk after.
And on that note, to everybody, we are out.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.